Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Duval Dive. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game of Fans First Sports Network, ready to talk to you, the Duval Devout, this week here coming up. Listen, very interesting game. We talked about it in our Duval Dive Live this past Sunday against the Texans, but now things have been in all sorts of disarray, crazy things happening. Has Doug lost the locker room? All these other crazy things going on. Is he throwing people under the bus? Oh my gosh, it's turmoil. I need an adult. I need help. I need a champion. And what better time to bring in my personal champion to help us all through this stuff than right now with my man, Travis T. Holmes of Big Cat Country. What's going on with you, my guy?
Hey man, I'm doing well. I'm just trying to figure out everything that's going on, just like everybody else. Keep the ear on the ground. You know what time it is.
Ear on the ground. Well, ear on the
Yes,
ground,
sir.
the phone in the pocket, and the typing going crazy. I know there's information flowing everywhere, but hey, listen, all reports that Doug has lost the locker room. The consensus is best expressed according to Gene Fournette. Darnell Savage said that any concern about whether or not Doug has lost the locker room is camp, so to speak. I hope I get it right for all the kids out there. But in case everybody's living under a rock out there in the land of Duval, let's go ahead and play the clip that has now become infamous and why Doug is getting so much more attention drawn to him, and not just because 0-4.
Is there any chance you take the headset over just to change this thing up?
For what? I thought he called a great game. We as coaches, we can't go out there and make the plays, right? It's a two-way street. So, you guys can sit here and point the finger all you want, and that's fine. Point it right at me. I can take it. Okay? I can take it. So, whatever you want to ask me, say, whatever, right, go ahead.
You did tell us at your introductory news conference a couple of years ago, if it's not working, if it's not in rhythm, whether it's your plays or not, that you hand off the play calling. Is it just one of those, maybe it's just a voice, a confidence? You guys were cooking when you were doing it looked like in 22.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll take it into consideration.
So, yeah. Fascinating stuff right there. First of all, we're going to lead into this, and we will start off, because I'm not going to make you stand the slings and arrows alone, my friend. You will not be Jon Snow at the Battle of the Bastards here, okay? I know you and I have one very unique take, perhaps even a hot take. The part where he says, I wouldn't use the word great, but the part where he says that Prez Taylor called a good game against the Texans, I think you and I both kind of agree with that sentiment, generally speaking. Oh, sure.
Right.
There's a few plays you and I have issue with. I went full blast and open fire on the quarterback sneak. Absolutely hated it. Not so much the quarterback sneak as you decided to challenge Fatu Kasi with your worst interior defensive lineman. Although PFF said he had one of the 10 best grades of the week. This is why I don't listen to PFF. Thank you very much. Okay. I have eyes. Okay. If a scout as bad as me can tell you when something's wrong, your service sucks, PFF. Shouts, or rather, jeers, hate to Chris Collinsworth.
Hey, man, PFF's a tool. That's all it is. And not a tool in a bad way. It's just a tool. It can be right.
Bad joking.
Yeah. It can be right. It can be wrong. It's no different than Microsoft Word. If you're using it the right ways, it should lead you back to the tape. So I got you. But Fatu Kasi was never an all-world player, but he also was a very good player when he was healthy as far as stopping the run. His problem was always that he couldn't be healthy. Right. And he's kind of healthy right now. So I'm not going to just say he didn't do well, because he did solid.
Right now.
He was challenged and he did solid. I got to give the man credit on that.
But let's get back on target here. We thought, generally speaking, that plays calls were there, because if they weren't, how else would we have valid complaints about all the balls that Trevor missed?
Correct.
And by the way, everybody out there, I've seen this a lot in the comments too. Let me also defend me and Travis on one thing. No one on this show said that Trevor couldn't make that throw. It's that he didn't. Right. And the point that I made out there on the YouTube short out there on the Duval Dive YouTube channel about Joe Flacco being able to connect on those passes, That's the degree of difficulty we've seen executed by players who are arguably lesser than Trevor. And Trevor did not have a Trevor kind of day to us.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, Trevor right now is not normal Trevor. And that's the whole point of this whole conversation that everybody kind of has to be able to have. That's all we're saying. It's not that Trevor is bad and all of these other things that that some of the haters and the national media guys want to try to extrapolate from the conversation. That's obviously not where we are. But we're saying if you're not saying who Trevor Lawrence was even last week or who he was last year. We're talking about right now, but in comparison to who he normally is.
Correct.
And they are not the same guy. And that's the whole point of this.
I would argue Trevor in week 1 was better than Trevor this past Sunday. As far as
right. He didn't have as many issues in the second half. They just took the ball out of his hand. So Trevor week 1, even to your point, was much better than what we saw. It was just you can't miss those throws. That's all it comes down to.
But and by the way, so let's get back to it. So we agree that the play calling per se wasn't necessarily bad or what lost the Jags the game. I know. Hold on. Put the pitchforks.
I was about to say there's some situational stuff that could have been better, but at the end of the day, you can literally say that about every NFL game.
Right.
At the end of all of it, despite the situational stuff that you're going to see again in most NFL games, they should have won that game in the way that it was called, simply because if you get just average Trevor,
right,
and that's all.
However, here's the part where I think things get a little nutty, get a little crazy, deranged. Points if you actually know what stand-up that's from. But the part where he says it's a two-way street. Oh boy. Again, not here to say that he's necessarily wrong per se. Not the first time to say it, Travis, wouldn't you think?
Hey man, Doug, grab a Snickers. You're not yourself. You're not yourself. You're not yourself right now, because he's been significantly different. Like, he's been obviously wildly different. Not outside of that, in that first press conference. Like, everybody's all seen the different press conferences after the fact. He's been in the press in the media now, met with the media twice now since that post game press conference where he basically, there's no other way to describe it. He threw the players under the bus publicly, openly, and blatantly. And now it seems more like, we're in this together. I always have their back. All the soft language after having the hard language at first, and it would seem like an odd switch. Like, they've obviously had conversations behind the scenes, and they being, the coaching staff, the executive staff, and I don't know what to make of it other than saying it sounds like damage control. But it is what it is. I mean, you can't take back words. I mean, your mama always taught you that. Whatever. Yeah, you said what you said, and you can apologize for it all you want to. But the words, they out there. They in the ethosphere now. This kind of is what it is.
The ethosphere. I don't know if that's a word, but we're adopting
the
that.
Ethos. Stay in the ethos, or the atmosphere. There we go. Both of them. I mix them together. Both of them.
See, let me be clear, Travis D. Holmes. I'm not hating. I'm appreciating. Let me be clear. I was about to say, I don't know if that's a word, but it certainly here is now on the Duval Dive, and you can take that to the bank, my guy. But
it's so wild that all these conversations are leaking out of the after that press conference that he's lost the locker room and all these other things, and it's like, well, yeah, but I don't know that he's losing the locker room mainly because of what happened at that press conference. And that's the piece that is getting lost in this conversation, because this is something that we were hearing a week before that, the week before the Buffalo game. And it was just and it's not like, hey, saying they're not going to play for the guy. It's not losing the locker room in that way. It's I don't trust the scheme kind of a thought process. So when I say lose the locker room, everybody takes that a little bit of a different way. And I wanted to be clear on what that means to me versus what that could mean for some organizations. This is the same team that played under Urban Meyer. And by week 3 or 4, they had truly given up on the coaching staff. And what that meant was two different things in that situation. It was, they don't trust this guy has an actual plan and a scheme to get them out of this rut that they're in. And also, I might not be giving my maximum effort for this guy. I'll clock in, but I ain't gonna, I ain't doing no overtime if you know what I mean. Like, if anybody has a regular job, you know what I'm getting at. Whereas in this situation with Doug, you've seen the tape. You can look at the tape. This is not guys out there loafing that's giving up on the coach. They're working for the coach. There is that still that level of respect for the game that's there as far as the film is concerned. But there is absolutely issues with, well, the fact that they obviously don't trust the scheme. They obviously don't trust the play calls. And if again, anybody who works a regular job out there, you know what I'm talking about. If you've had a bad manager and a good manager, you know what I'm saying. You have a good manager who tells you a process, you follow that process to the T because you trust that manager and you trust what they told you to do is going to work so you don't get out of line. You have a bad manager or someone who's you don't trust. In this case, you have a coach whose scheme you don't trust. What do? You go outside of the process. You try to do a little too much. You try to make up for or create shortcuts in the process because I don't believe what this dude is telling me is going to work at the end of the day. And whether it's the quarterback, whether it's the right tackle, whether it's the receiver, you're seeing that across the board for the Jacksonville Jaguars offense because they don't trust the guy. And that's what it comes down to when I say lost that locker room. They lost trust in you as being a good manager because you don't seem to have answers.
So yeah, there's levels to this, right? It's not full on mutiny like with Urban Meyer, perhaps, but a lack of buy-in is what I'm hearing you give me here, and I think there's sense to that. And well, when you say they don't buy into the scheme or anything, I mean, from your stance, Travis, what do you feel like it is that the players aren't buying into?
Well, you've heard I mean, everybody's already know. You've heard the rumors about, all right, there's Trent on one side of the line and then there's Doug on the other side of the line. All right, cool. I think at this point we kind of know that that's happening. But then there's also the whole conversation around there's Trevor on one side of the line and there's Press Taylor on the other. And it's not just that Shad does not want, that Shad wants Doug to call plays. There was also those same exact rumors in the offseason that Trev wanted Doug to call plays. And we've now got that confirmation from Doug in his fit of anger that, all right, Press called a good game. Well, thank you, Doug, for finally telling us that Press was actually calling the plays and not just this, flipping the coin situation. Thank you for saying what we already kind of knew. And yeah, so if you have a quarterback who's not comfortable or not happy with the scheme, and you have a offensive coordinator who's calling plays, who the quarterback doesn't seem to want to call plays, then you obviously have a situation on your hands that's probably going to be untenable if it's not working. And I can't tell you why it's not working. That's the worst part about all that.
Well, and Trevor's not going to be, he's not the personality to kind of revolt or kind of just put it on his shoulders. I mean, I know our good friend and regular follower of the show, Michael Barber, is like, Trevor call the plays. I'm like, that's nice and everything, but I don't know. Anyways, so
right, he has check authority, like the ability to audible plays, sure, but you can't do that on every play, and every play does not give you that option. And if you do, you might be benched. I know, but everybody's saying like you will never bench Trevor. I mean, you say that, but NFL coaches have done this thing. I mean, they may get fired. They may get fired. They may get fired, but they've done it. So if that's when it truly gets messy and they're truly all out, if you know what I mean.
Wasn't it an Andy Reid that once benched Donovan McNabb? That's one that comes to mind off the top. But anyways, I think this comment sums up the relationship nicely from John G. I know one thing's for sure. Doug ain't loading up the team in the truck to take them to DQ after the game. Ice cream is for winners, much like coffee is for closers.
Ice cream is for winners. Yeah, man. And oof. We ain't got none right now.
Especially for me, like if it's sugar-free ice cream, you only give that out if you win. I'm just saying.
Right. And it sucks because I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I don't want to be the down guy because the fan base is finally, I mean, we've hit Wednesday. You know what time that is. That's time to burn the tape and flip over to the next game. And the fan base is right back on that horse because they Duval till we die and we respect y'all for it. But it's crazy to me that people just really data dump that thing at Tuesday at midnight, all because we got throwbacks. And we still got to figure out the fact that we got to win this game, right? Like we got a game that we're going to play with Anthony Richardson potentially not playing in the game. And if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, you want Anthony Richardson to play, to be clear. And if you have Joe Flacco playing this game against this Indianapolis Colts, who's now beat Chicago and beat Pittsburgh, they're coming off 2 wins themselves. I mean, I don't know why people are comfortable right now saying that the Jaguars are going to win just because they're playing in Jacksonville, but we'll get into that.
Actually, see, this is what good professionals like yourself do, is set the table for a very easy segue. I forget what the number is, how many in a row at Everbank are victories over the Colts. What are we, like 8 or 9 or something like that? It's kind of
I
insane.
forget. But I'm gonna get you the answer in a second.
I know you will, my guy. That's why we do this here on the Duval Dive together. But listen, that's obviously in jeopardy. And regardless, you said maybe Anthony Richardson doesn't play. I kind of feel like it's more likely that Flacco, if you don't play Flacco, you are a wacko. I said it. But and the reason why I say that is you, of all people, Travis, I know, have looked at the injured report and know exactly where, in fact, I am coming from.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just let's put it this way. After Montaric Brown had his struggles against Nico Collins with the Texans, one can only imagine more of that sort of thing could ensue at this point.
Yeah.
And what does that have in common? For those of you who wonder why I'm thinking Flacco is a big deal, remember what he did as a Brown against this team, tearing apart a then decimated defensive back core, right? You see the same.
It's a really good Indianapolis goodness gracious supporting cast, we'll call it. This is great. They have a great background players, I guess we'll call it, and a lot like the Cleveland Browns, a lot like the Cincinnati Bengals, even in that way. And all they need is someone who can just make the simple plays that are there. And Anthony Richardson, unfortunately, was throwing, completing less than 50% of his passes. Well, that was a problem for that offense. That was why they struggled in those first 2 games. And then all of a sudden you get the opportunity to have, Flacco come in last week and throw for 168 yards. I know that's not like mind blowing, but at the end of the day, with that supporting cast, that's enough with the run game. And there's where this kind of comes to. That is a well-coached team and a well-built roster, despite the fact that they have limitations at quarterback. Whereas this is a well-built skills unit, we'll call it. I can't even say team necessarily, because we know we still got questions on the offensive line and defensive line. And there's no world where I can argue that this is a well-coached team right now. So that feels like that makes this a tight game. And if you have someone like a veteran, Joe Flacco, who can just move the ball up and down the field, a lot like Deshaun Watson did, which is crazy. We made Deshaun Watson look like an average NFL quarterback just a few weeks ago. That doesn't give me confidence. The only thing that gives me confidence is that these guys are going to just have that pride on their chest because they're wearing them throwbacks, and they're going to come through and just put it on the table for Duval. Like that's the whole hope. And unfortunately, I don't like that hope word in football. You know what I mean? Like I need to see a reason why they're going to win on that tape, and I don't see it.
I don't know. Apparently, Michael Barber thinks Trevor is calling his own plays this weekend. He came out with a prediction already. Are we getting right this week, guys? 35-13 Jags. Wow. I remember last week we were excited about me 21, and this Humpy Bumpy's got 35 points.
No. He thinks we're going to have like a 2 pick sixes or a pick 6 and a kick return or something like that, because I don't know. Okay. Yeah, that's got to be what this is. Darnell Savage comes back, and all of a sudden he just flips the room
with another long kick return, his first of the regular season. Is that what you're saying?
Because I'm like 35 points. I mean, again, this offense looked reasonable. Like I want to say they look good, because I don't think that's necessarily accurate because of the inaccuracies at quarterback. But overall, if Trevor would have been accurate, I would have considered this offense to look truly good this past week. You know what I mean? Like, so from that perspective, I'm like, no. If they run the offense in the same way that they did and keep getting those 3-step drops, getting the ball out within the first, 10, 11 yards, keep the offense moving that way, and then scheming up a few of those deep shots, and Trevor can just hit on a few of them. Again, no one got to be all 3. Just like give me 1 to 2. This is a team that then can hit that 21-point mark, and I think the defense with Savage back can do just enough to kind of get that victory. And at that point, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable, but I don't know that I should just yet.
Well, one thing that also favors the Jaguars here is one of my favorite players in the AFC South, period. DeForest Buckner is on IR. He will be missing this football game.
That's helpful.
Which might be the biggest news up here, too. And regardless of Travis Etienne's status, I know Travis's favorite new player, Tank Bigsby, is going to be getting his share of carries. Oh, look at that smile. I got a full set of teeth in that smile. Good gravy.
My favorite player, which is funny because we don't even talk about Tank like that, like behind the scenes. And you don't understand how many times I've traded Tank away and picked him up on waivers in my fantasy league. So that just makes me laugh for real, because it truly is like that.
I've seen your Twitter account. Like, by the way, if you're listening to the podcast, come on the YouTube. Even now, we're 30 seconds in of a full tune smile here on the Duval Dive when it comes to Travis talking tech. See, now he's hiding it because he's self-conscious.
Because I think this coaching staff is just failing into some basic self-scouting stuff, man. And that's why it frustrates the heck out of me. Because again, I wasn't even a Tank Bigsby guy coming into the season. Like, I just didn't believe it until I saw it. And then I saw it. And I'm like, I can't unsee what I've seen.
Hold on. Let's protect ourselves a little bit. You want to know the most important thing about Tank Bigsby in 2024? You already know what it is.
Yeah.
Come on. Say it out loud for everybody. Say it with me, Travis.
The most important thing is he's holding on to the ball.
Holding the ball. Exactly. All right.
Come on. Everything else is bonus, but he ain't just holding on to the ball. Like, that's just the starting point. Like, that was his starting point for his sophomore year. Oh, you holding on to the ball? Oh, great job, baby. Good job, Tank. Way to go, baby. Way to go. And then, wait, I'm sorry. He's like top of the league in like forcing missed tackles. Oh, yards after contact. Oh, so we doing. Oh, you taking this to a whole nother level. Okay, cool. Let's go. So no, Tank has been he's been a great surprise for me. And unfortunately, people always feel like whenever I rave about Tank, that means I'm saying no to Travis Etienne, and I'm not saying that. Like, I truly believe that this is Montgomery Gibbs situation that you got to give them both, get them both involved, keep moving the ball. I mean, again, we just saw the Detroit Lions have a quarterback who was 18 of 18 in the game passing, most of that off play action. Mm-hmm. The Jacksonville Jaguars were a top 5 team in running play action, and you have 2 running backs. Like, they don't have the offensive line like the Lions, but you can absolutely scheme this in the exact same ways if you just want to use Tank Bigsby as your Montgomery and run him between the tackles on early downs and use ETN on second downs and, the passing downs and things like that and keep this thing moving. This ain't that complicated, but for whatever reason, they just don't get out of their own way and just like run it that way.
See, and that's what Mike asked is Mega 2024 over. Make Travis make NTN great again for those who don't know the name of the campaign. With Tank's come up, I think the agenda has ended, but I really think why we can't ETN involved in the pass. I really think why can't we get ETN involved in the passing game? Did Peterson forget how to use scat backs? First of all, no, sir. Mega is not over. Okay.
Thank you.
NTN Grant is not over. Tank is just a running mate. Damn it. That's all there is to it.
Right. The Detroit Lions running game for Montgomery isn't over, and for Gibbs it ain't over. That just means they just sharing the load, baby. And the thing about this is, the craziest part about all this is ETN is averaging about 50%, a little over 50%. Let's say between 50 and 60% of snaps already. The only thing that's wonky about this is the fact that they've given Dearness Johnson 21% of the snaps last week for some reason, instead of just giving the other 40% to Tank. That's the only wonky thing about this is just lean on your 2 running backs and stop with this little funky little rotation thing that's obviously not working.
I have questions whether Tank's shoulder has been a factor or not. I think that
man, they don't trust him in the passing game. That's what that is.
Oh.
So you get it to it's more of a shot. It's more of a stylistic thing. Tank runs better under center. So when you're in those early down play action situations where you can have Trevor Lawrence under center, then that's when they're more prone to have Tank in the game. But when they're running these hurry up offense situations where it's mostly shotgun, like we were last week, they'll then have Dearness Johnson or they'll have ETN in the game. Like, I picked that up early when I was watching. I'm like, okay, so this is what this is. They don't trust him in either in pass protection, or they just think stylistically that he's better with Trevor under center. But when they're in a shotgun situation, they want Dearness in or they want ETN in, and that's a weird thing because again, maybe what's best for your quarterback isn't best for the Tank, and they got to figure that out in some way, or maybe it's some little wonky thing like that.
Remember last year when we said if only we could get the running game going? I mean, listen, that's kind of what happened against the Texans and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Right? And it came down to singular plays that ended up blowing the call.
Yeah. Well, they couldn't keep the running game going. And that's been a big inconsistency with the way that they've been calling plays, because everybody's been talking about it. It's like, hey man, it just feels like y'all just looking at a board and just picking different plays randomly, or like you just spinning a wheel like you playing Twister, and it just don't, whatever it lands on is what you calling. And that's the piece that it's a little herky jerky in the way that they're calling their plays. It's because it's like you feel like you have something that you're figuring it out, and you may have an identity, and then you forget what you were trying to do. So one week you want to be super conservative, and then the next week you want to be super aggressive, or then one half you want to be super conservative, then the next half you want to be super aggressive, and it don't seem to make any damn sense. Like, be who you gonna be who you are, and do that. Like, take a lesson. And again, that sucks to say take a lesson from someone like Dan Campbell, because I think he's a solid coach, but I also think he's a little overrated. But that's just me being real about this. But at the end of the day, that man, but that man is who he is.
He
You know
doesn't.
who the hell
That's what he.
Bingo. You know who he is. You know what he's going to do. And he's an aggressive. I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to play defense. And I'm going to go for it on fourth downs. And I'm going to play some smash mouth football every time. And that's who he is. I need Doug. If y'all trying to figure out this whole identity thing, be who you're going to be. Stick with it. And just go with this, man. Because it can't be week by week and half by half and all of this chaos. It's everyone's kind of confused about what y'all trying to do.
You got to stop running the play cards through the panic press. That's what I'm saying. Oh, I think that's a thing that's going to happen now, the panic press. Oh, Lord. Anyways.
And you were correct. 9 weeks in a row. I'm sorry. Nine Jacksonville Jaguar home games in a row. But I don't want people to get too excited about that, because let's be real about this, man. How much does that matter in real life? In real life. Like, because I'm one of those people that don't believe in, like, I don't believe in, like, I like it, but that's just a cool stat. But I don't know how much 9 years ago impacts tomorrow or impacts Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much last year impacts this year. Like, we could also say that, the Buffalo Bills, Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Buffalo Bills 3 of the last 4 times. Woo, we going to win this game. And got the brakes beat off. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know how much that matters. Sunday's going to happen. Whatever happens Sunday's going to happen Sunday.
Excuse me, Travis. I really, really hate how your facts are ruining everybody's narrative. That's not acceptable here.
Sorry, man. I love the throwbacks, but I'm here to say, hey, man, if they're gonna win because of what happened on the field, not because of some witchcraft from Louis, some mode, I'm in there with the voodoo dolls and everything else, and 10 wins in a row because throwbacks. Like, what, man? Come on, man. Show me the tape.
Here comes Mike. Travis, get in the press room and ask Doug that. Why do all the play calls get herky-jerky? Hang him to the wall and make him answer. Mike, I got news for you. Even if he did do that and risk his for that seemingly noble purpose, he's still not going to answer.
Credentials? Credentials? This man just said pin Doug to the wall. You trying to get me arrested, bro. I am a black man in anywhere. I can't even say America. I'm a black man anywhere pinning a coach against the wall. Nah, man. You trying to have me in the bowels of a Duval County jail inside of the stadium somewhere with all them alcoholics, bro. No, not this Sunday.
It's really hard to host a barbecue when you are in the joint. That's a fact. Anyways,
yeah.
Let's go ahead and get a prediction here. We're 28 minutes deep, bro. What do you think? Colts here at Everbank Stadium. Notice how I didn't use the TR. When he completes a long ball, then I will do that. But
all right, so I'm gonna pull up Maurice Jones-Drew this time. I'm gonna pull up MJD, where he always picks the opposite of what he wants to happen, and he started doing the opposite this year, and I think that's also probably why we've lost every game, because he's actually been picking the Jaguars every week to win, and as have I. So I'm like, no. I'm gonna stop doing this, telling y'all what I think. Jaguars gonna lose, y'all. Jaguars gonna lose 23-20. I'm saying it in that way. Now you hear what I'm saying. Hear me, but believe my heart. All right, cool. Jaguars losing 23-20. Let's see if this works. If we win, you're welcome.
23-20 is your pick. That's going to be
yes, sir.
There in the Everbank. That tells me then that the Colts are the last one to have the ball, because if it's Cam Little has a chance to kick it, he's going to tie that beast up. We know that for a fact. But that's what I'm going to say. I picked the Jags to lose, and I was correct. And I feel like I picked the Jags to win against the Texans, and I should have been right, but certainly went away. This week, even with DeForest Buckner gone, I really still don't know what to make of what's going on. If Flacco plays, you better bet I'm going to up the Colts point total by at least a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain that that's what's going to happen. The news on that is still unclear, as Travis pointed out. Am I stalling? You bet your entire butt. I got Colts with 27, Jags 18. I think this is a reasonable dominated game, and I think just on the strength of the fact that the plays will be missed. that I put it that way.
18 is such an odd number to have. Like they're going for 2 and missing an extra point or something. It's 18.
It's going to be
Interesting.
a lot of field goals is how I got there, or,
man.
somewhere they're going to go for 2 to try to shorten the lead, and then they're going to miss perhaps. There's a lot of ways that can go.
I just love how consistently they cannot score 21 points. It's just wild to me. Because even then, even when I'm saying 20, I'm just like, nah, man, they're going to have to prove to me that they can score 21 points, and which is such a low bar. So, gosh, Nielsen, get your boys ready, man. Get your boys ready to hold these dudes down to less than 21 points so we can have a victory for the Duval Devout in these throwbacks, man. Come on.
John G., was it Family Guy that had an episode where the Dolphin picks show ideas by moving balls with topics to the edge of the tank? I feel like that's the Jags play calling. So, first of all, John, you're close. It was a South Park episode portraying Family Guy producers picking episode topics with the Dolphins. So you're that close to it, John. So yeah, and by the way, Mikey Barber agreeing with you that we're allergic to 20 points.
Hey man, that's it. That's it, bro. And I don't know what the elixir is for that. Like I don't know if they got insulin for points, but we got to figure that out.
Yeah, well, one thing I am allergic to is being away from you, the Duval Devout, for any extended period of time. But we're getting to that point, Travis, where we got to wrap this humpy bumpy up. It's not that I don't love y'all. It's just we got other things to do. We got other games to watch. But I can guarantee you that Travis and I will be in place for the Duval Dive live right after it at Everbank. And hopefully everybody's laughing at our negativity and us picking the Colts. But we'll see then. In the meantime, Travis, tell the world.
Well, I can be found at all of my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars can be found at bigcatcountry.com. Save it as your favorites. Come and join the conversation in the comments. We have some really great, breakdowns as far as the film, as far as the rewatch after the fact. Give you my 20 takeaways that is still up on the site. We also have the staff predictions that's going to be coming out I believe on Thursday. Or actually, I'm sorry, take that back, on Friday. The staff predictions, so we can figure out what we like as far as who's the player we want off the roster, who's the biggest X factor in the game, and obviously our predictions, our real predictions, not my predictions where I'm saying the opposite of what I want to say just because I want the Jaguars to win. Hint, hint. You feel me? You feel me? Yeah, that. And obviously, like and subscribe if you're listening to me right now. That's the best way you can support us. Always, if you're listening to us on a podcatcher, we appreciate you, but also go to the YouTube, like and subscribe. Get it while it's free, man. Travis D. Holmes on Twitter. Where can you be found, sir?
An honor, joy, and privilege to serve you. Though I am not a member of the Duval Devout, I am always glad to step into this congregation and preach with you guys and talk some quality football, or at least some football that's fun to look at.
Dang, you can't even call it quality.
There are quality moments. I mean, let's admit that. Brian Thomas Jr. is definitely an uplift. And to see Christian Kirk do some things again after a slow start has been fun. I'll guarantee you that.
My boy say the Jaguars ain't even quality football. We save a lot. We ain't even quality groceries. We ain't even Aldi level. We save a lot. This is wild, man.
By the way, and by the way, shouts to Mike Barber, who's going to hang out with Travis this weekend. I will not be able to make it because I got that Gainesville game to deal with and the Gator game.
Oh yeah,
that's me with the black and gold banneret. By the way, of course, you can check out my writings on Fans First Sports Network, where not only now I am writing the Jaguars, but find my new thing there. I'm writing on Orlando Magic articles. They just had media day this past Monday. So I have NBA action up there as well. So make sure you check all that out on Fans First Sports Network. Of course, I mentioned the black and gold banneret. Night shift live after the Florida game for live reactions there. It's going to be a late night for Kyle, but that is what it is, y'all. Make sure you check that out. Black and gold banneret YouTube channel. Of course, after this tonight will be the student of the game, where I talk all things NFL and NBA as they come and I see fit. And listen, I'm having my good friend Seawall, Candy Waller, come in, Madam President herself of Bowie TV and Seawall Productions, to explain to me, as she is a credentialed member there in Washington, and she's going to try to explain to me how the Commanders got off the ground with such a great start with Jaden Daniels. And who knows, I'll make at least 2 or 3 references to that team growing out of its ACC quarterback phase. But for my good friend, hey, you can chuckle all you want. You just know I'm onto something there, Travis.
Yep.
So for my good friend, Travis D. Holmes, my personal champion, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. This was the Duval Dive. And until next time, everyone, class Dismiss. Wait, do the bell first. There we go.
Hey.